Roselyne, how should the government react to this? I mean, we cannot expect the president to heed some of these calls, can we? Because in his speech at the State House banquet, he thanked the king for speaking, quote unquote, about some of the uncomfortable truths, and he left it at that. As Kenyans continue to ask for these apology and reparations, what should the government's reaction be?
I think at the end of the day, the government is the one representing the people. Remember, the powers are donated to them. And the fact that actually he acknowledged the uncomfortable incidences that happened during the struggle for independence, and even for the king to actually have touched on it, in a way actually admits to the atrocities that happened. But maybe the way Africans are structured, and then looking at what we are seeing now, the world is a global village. And we've seen even countries that had been colonized, even in the West, we've seen the Anglophones struggling, the French. We see the British trying to actually hold on to their former colonies. And we just what Obala talked about, the Caribbean countries, you see Barbados got their independence, Jamaica is struggling for that. So you have to go back to your base. And that is why history is very important, because you have to confront your history to move forward. By admitting what happened and saying it happened, I know we cannot change back the clock. We cannot say that we have to go back to where we were. But the truth is, there were things that happened. People were detained without trial. People were tortured. People were beaten. So how do you address that? You accept, yes, there were faults, because in every institution there are rotten apples. You cannot control everybody. So you accept, yes, there were issues that happened, but how do we forge forward? The king has come with a delegation. They had bilateral talks with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, by the Secretary of State from the U.S., Foreign Secretary. And that just shows you their commitment to actually enhance the bilateral ties that we have. The British companies, I think, are one of the biggest companies that we have. But what is the conversation? What is the net effect of the business that we are having? Is Kenya actually gaining, or there is more export as opposed to imports? Then now that is where the conversation should be, that what are we gaining out of this? If you look at Laikipia, where we had the British White Highlands, what are we getting from there? We are having the issues of Batuk there. We are having horticulture, where we are having companies. We are having the tea factories in Kericho and the other areas. So what is the conversation? The conversation is supposed to be a win-win situation now. We have gone beyond the colony and now an independent country. As we celebrate our 60 years of independence, how do we come back to the table and say, if it is investment, then what does Kenya get as opposed to this? Two, the king has come with his own delegation, just as he's saying that there were 35 media houses that are here. Kenya has been watched across the world, and because of that, we know it is going to increase the investment that is coming in Kenya. So as much as we market ourselves outside, this trip is going to give Kenya a pivotal point, just not for Kenya, but an entry point in the region. So it's a double-edged sword. As much as we are saying we talk about the past, we must also look at the future. You accept that a mistake was done, so how do you forge ahead as equal partners?